Hello, good morning, and welcome to the Sunday Show on Africa Independent Television, AIT. It is another edition of the show, and we are glad to be here to bring you an exceptional, thought-provoking, yet exciting package, which has, of course, been the trademark of the Sunday Show. While agitation over the recent hike in price of petrol continue to resonate in some quarters, many citizens have begun to readjust to the realities on ground with the hope that solution to increasing economic hardship will soon come. Well, without wasting much time, let's welcome my co-anchor, McQueen Joseph. Good morning and happy Sunday to you.
Happy Sunday to you too.
Your week was beautiful.
Yeah.
You show for your face.
You see, Amber.
And you notice them.
Good morning, fellow citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and of course, our esteemed viewers. Indeed, the realities on ground suggest adoption of a deliberate, systematic, and strategic lifestyle while hoping for a turnaround in the overall well-being of the citizens. Several factors have, over time, continued to militate against Nigeria's growth and development. While the government is held responsible for its inability to implement policies that are people-oriented, there are also concerns over some citizens' activities which have made life more difficult for others.
Certainly, some people or even organizations have not helped matters at all. We are talking in terms of crimes and criminality. Some weeks ago, we had an elaborate discussion on kidnapping in Nigeria, a crime that appears to be thriving in parts of the country due to its multifaceted nature.
This takes us to the discussion today, which centers on the trafficking of persons in Nigeria. In 2023, statistics indicate that the Nigerian government identified 1,634 trafficking victims, including 841 trafficked for sex, 543 for labor, while 250 others are for unspecified forms of trafficking. Of the 245 victims of unspecified form of trafficking, all were children, consisting of 65 boys and 185 girls.
This scourge known as trafficking in persons unfortunately has been in operation since Nigeria's pre-colonial era and metamorphosed over time to what we have at the moment. The trafficking of some Nigerians to overseas especially has generated reactions within and outside the shores of the country. How about the domestic trafficking case of young Nigerians? How far has the government gone in the fight against this practice? These are the issues we intend to provide in-depth analysis on. Our guest has been in the business of curtailing the trafficking in persons for decades and well-informed in the laws addressing this menace. She is Julie Okah-Donli. Before she comes on, let us refresh your minds on the major items that made the news during the week. There you have it. Now permit me to introduce to us our guests, a seasoned lawyer, administrator, a member Board of Trustees of the United Nations Voluntary Trust Fund for Victims of Trafficking and former Director General, National Agency for Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP. Julie Okah-Donli, you're welcome.
Grab your seats and join us on the most fascinating 60-minute infotainment journey, showing on your favorite TV channel, Africa Independent Television, AIT. Analysis on topical national issues, news, sports, and entertainment are on the menu. It's a show you do not want to miss. It is The Sunday Show.
Yes, it's still the Sunday Show on Africa Independent Television, AIT. This is the interactive section, and we have our guest this morning. We already introduced her during the prologue, so glad to have you. And of course, my colleague is here, Makwen Joseph.
I can't wait for us to hit the road, hit the ground running.
Oh, okay.
Because this issue is an issue that needs serious dissecting.
And we have the right person to dissect it.
Talking about round peg in round hole. So I'm ready to be educated.
Okay, welcome. Julie Okah-Donli, thank you for joining us this morning. Good morning and welcome. This is Sunday Show.
Good morning and thank you for having me.
Yes, you heard how my colleague described you.
Oh, wow.
The round peg in the round hole.
Thank you.
Yes,
That's
we're glad to have you this morning. We want to begin by asking you, as somebody who knows it very well, you have been in charge of the agency, NAPTIP, and that is an agency saddled with the responsibility to curtail the activity of human trafficking. Tell us, how does it feel like, and what was the journey like?
Wow. The fight against human trafficking is really a very tough one. You know, it's a very difficult job, extremely dangerous job, because you deal with very brutal people, very mean people, evil people, to say the least. And so fighting a crime like that, you can imagine if you are not passionate about it, you can easily be intimidated or scared, you know. And if you're not, you know, careful, or you're not taking steps to protect yourself, you can also be a very, very easy target for the traffickers.
So, over to you, Makwen.
Yes, tell us how statistically, what are the figures when you came to office, and what were the figures when you left?
Honestly, when I came to office, the figures were quite low because the sensitization level had not yet risen to the extent to which people report these cases. You know, the education was not as high. So when I came into office, we had a very aggressive approach, you know, to sensitizing the public. We were all over the people's faces. We were on TV, we were on radio, we were in motor parks, we were at the airports, we were virtually everywhere. We were on the internet was agog with, you know, sensitization. We had videos, we had television interviews, shows, and all of that. So people became aware because, you know, the fight against trafficking, there must be a lot of awareness and sensitization. A lot of people saw it, but they didn't know what it was, and they didn't even know what to do. Even though it looked very bad in their eyes, they didn't have an idea that, you know, this was human trafficking, and they had no idea what to do. But with this sensitization, continuous sensitization and education, people now began to report cases, you know, of human trafficking. So the figures went really way up, you know, during the period, because people were becoming more enlightened and knew what to do about it.
Now, the Nigerian government had invested quite a lot in the fight against human trafficking. Do you think the country is making headway in that cause?
Well, honestly, the fight against human trafficking is a fight that involves everyone, you and I, who is government? We are all government. The federal government cannot do it alone. I keep saying this everywhere I go. We all have a role to play. The media, the faith-based organizations, the private sector, everyone has a role to play. And so we cannot wait for the federal government to do something. Of course, the federal government is doing what they can do, and that's why they have an agency called NAPTIC and other agencies that supports them. So I mean, everyone, everyone must be ready to fight this horrible fight. We all have a role to play, and we must play that role.
Today we see a lot of Nigerians and Africans taking a very risky journey into the European countries. What do you think is driving this kind of risk?
I tell you that most of these victims of trafficking, as I would like to call them, come from the rural areas most of the time. And you see, these traffickers are very smart. They try to be a step ahead of us. When they find out that awareness has reached a certain community and people now know their tricks, they move to another community where people are not internet savvy. They probably don't even have electricity. They don't have television sets and all of that. So they prey on communities where people are actually ignorant, and that is why it's always starts from the rural areas. Yes, there are cases where people are trafficked from the cities and all of that, but basically people are victims like this think they are going for a better life. They think they are going to get a good job. They think they are going to improve their lives, and that's why you see them living in droves out of poverty, lack of education. That is the major, and ignorance. Those three factors are the major factors that drive human trafficking.
All right, let's deviate a little bit, move to the economic reasons why the economy of the country. Let's say, could it be a reason enough for a victim to say the economic situation in the country is what drives him or her into this particular business? That is for the victims. Then those that are involved in the business of trafficking the people, they see it as a lucrative business. What if the economic situation in the country is being boosted for people to find better means of doing businesses or doing other things that will not make them go that route? Don't you think the economy is also supposed to play a better role in bringing the people out of that kind of quagmire?
I tell you the truth that the traffickers themselves are just evil people. They are just greedy people. And unfortunately, the victims, most of them are ignorant, like I said. Nobody tells you, I'm going to traffic you, and then you go. No. They tell you all sorts of lies and stories. They promise you good things, and then you think you're going for a good job. It is at the point when they start getting trafficked that they realize that they are being trafficked. And most of them want to opt out, but they cannot opt out because of course, the traffickers don't want to be caught. And once you get into their trap, they hold you right there and make sure that you do not escape. And that is why they do all sorts of evil things. They carry out swearing of oath just to put fear in you. They take nude pictures of you. And if you're a woman, they get men to rape you and they make videos. They threaten to release it to the public. So they do all these things to keep you under control. So the victims are not there because they are enjoying it or they know that they are being trafficked. The victims are there because they are stuck. They are stuck. So that's just the issue here. So for the traffickers, it's not about the economy. It's just for them a fast and easy way of making money because of they are very evil people, they are very greedy people, and they don't care about human life. And for the unfortunate victims, they are not even aware that they are being trafficked until they actually get trafficked. So for them, they are trying to make a better life for their family they've left behind in the villages, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I think that it takes being greedy to fall for such promises. Because if you are not greedy, you want overnight something so special about your life to come to you just like that. And before you know, you end up somewhere in Europe, and especially the young ladies going into prostitution. And like you said, that once they get stalked, they get into their trap, they get stalked. But if you know what you're doing, how can you...
Let me correct an impression that most people have. You see, these girls you claim are going into prostitution. They don't go into prostitution willingly. They are forced into prostitution. So we need to change that. They don't go into prostitution, because when these traffickers go to them, they don't say, you're going to prostitute. No way. They never say that. They say, you are going to get a good job when you get to Europe. And it's not as a matter of greed, because this job, these girls and boys think they are going to get, it's nothing special, because they are thinking, when I convert these dollars into Naira, I'll be able to help my parents. So it's not like they are money doublers and saying, okay, don't worry, I will double your... No. They think they are going for regular jobs. Of course, they tell some of them, you're going to be working in the restaurant. You're going to be working in hotels. You're going to be working in the factories. So they're going with that mindset that that's what they're going to do. It is when they get there that they are now forced into prostitution. So they are not prostitutes. They are victims of trafficking for the purpose of forced prostitution. And that is where the stigmatization starts. Because sometimes when these girls are even rescued, people see them as prostitutes and say, oh, you went to prostitute. No, they didn't go to prostitute. They were forced into prostitution. And the girls are not alone. Even the boys are they are forced into prostitution. So we need to correct that narrative.
Okay, before we talk about preventive measures and all that, you made mention of this job being a risky job. That's the assignment we given to you as a risky job. Then you also made mention of the people involved in the business as evil.
That's all.
How did you manage to protect yourself from these challenges from the time you started this assignment? It's a national assignment. How did you manage to scale through from the beginning to the end? I know there's so many challenges. You talked about threats and all that. Please, can you just walk us through?
Wow, that's a very, very important question, because honestly, first of all, I would say I give God the glory, because I know that God was just protecting me and taking care of me first and foremost. Then, of course, I had my security men all around me. And thirdly, I'm not one to just go anywhere for the heck of it. I hardly go out. So I hardly go around. So my security was always intact. And then, I was not really exposed. Of course, you get the threats once in a while, but of course, we had the security. And I want to use this opportunity to appeal to the federal government to take the security of the Director General of such, organizations or institutions very seriously, because when I was abruptly removed from office, there were a lot of cases in courts, that were being prosecuted in court of very dangerous fellows. And I was just removed like that without any security man attached to me. So it would be a good thing to have at least a security or two attached to a Director General of such a very delicate place, at least for as long as he or she lives. That's what I want to say, because I was practically thrown under the bus and my life was really at risk. Yeah.
We understand that. Well done. Madam Julie, today we want to also look at the local trafficking, people bringing children from villages to come help them in the city center to look after their children. And they also promise the mothers and the fathers of those young girls of 15, 12, 11-year-old they are bringing to the city to assist them and tell the parents, we want to take this child to go to school. And at the end, they come, remain in the house. And there are so many cases of such all over the place. And even some recently, I happened to see one that the mother, the madam herself, hurt the young girl. how do we fight all of this if we are talking about people who go to Europe and they are maltreated?
Yes,
and we are doing worse
coming back to the
at
home front.
Yeah, the internal trafficking is as bad as external trafficking. I tell you, to me, it's even worse. And unfortunately, these are cases of child trafficking. They've become so common. And, you see, like I said before, we need to go back sensitization again. Awareness, very important. A lot of women take young underage children into their homes. They take them, they risk the lives of these poor girls. And sometimes even their husbands abuse them sexually. And when the madams of the house find out, rather than take action against the man and looking at these little children as victims, they punish these girls for that by doing all sorts of evil things to them. Pour hot water on them, put hot knife in their vaginas, disfigure them, to punish them, they victimize them further rather than rescuing them and taking out the heat on their irresponsible husbands. It's also for these little children, it's like double jeopardy. In the first place, no one should employ a young girl under the age of 16 as a help. If you want to help these girls, help them in their mother's homes. But if you say you must help a girl only when you bring her into your home to wash your clothes, to cook food, to take care of your children, a child cannot even take care of herself, and then you risk your children's life and expect a child to also take care of the child. And that is why you find out in homes like that, even the children that these children are expected to take care of are being abused by the cooks, by the drivers, by the security men, because these are children that can't even protect themselves, so they can't protect your children. So there's so much education. Like you see, lots of mothers send their children to school, with a driver alone. Does that?
I actually wanted to mention that. A case of a young girl who is under 5 and is being taken to school every morning by the driver. He goes about kissing the girl when he drops him. And the day the father decided to take him to school, after dropping her, the girl got angry. Daddy, what happened? He said, Daddy, you didn't kiss me.
Exactly. So you see what I'm talking about? You send your children to school with your driver alone. Even the boys are not safe. So make no mistake to think that, the driver can take a boy to school, because we have a lot of bisexuals now that swing both ways.
They sodomize the young children.
They're raping the boys and they're raping the girls.
Let's talk about penalties.
Before penalty, what should be done to tackle this menace from the root, headlong? Education. You see, most of these children in the rural areas that go out are not educated. They must have the opportunity to go to school. Free, compulsory education, at least basic education, primary, secondary school. Skill acquisition is also very important. Even while you're in primary school, there must be a compulsory skill acquisition in the primary and secondary school, so that in the event that you cannot continue, you have a skill to work with. When you have a skill or you're educated, it's very difficult for someone to traffic you. They will tell you, look, I know how to make shoes. If you can just give me 20,000, I can start my shoe business. I know how to do small chops. If you can, so that mindset of going out to look for a job will not even cross your mind. Empowerment is also important. These rural women, there must be better life for rural men and women. Empower them at the village level. The local government chairman, what is he doing? Is he just coming to collect money, share the money? What do you do with all of this? So it's not just about the federal government. The local government has a role to play. The federal government has a role to play. You and I have a role to play. The senators have a role to play. House of Reps have a role to play. Everyone has a role to play. Education, sensitization, awareness. All of these things are very important. If we have these things, then we'll tackle it from the roots, and it will be minimized drastically.
All right. As important as all this is, let's still go back to the penalty, because have arrests been made, and what penalties were meted to those that were found guilty of these crimes? Or were they so powerful that they had to buy their way out? It's very important.
I tell you that so many arrests were made, so many cases were in court, I don't know the position or the status of some of the cases. There was a very terrible case that I was prosecuting. Unfortunately, as soon as I left, the man was also, he was freed. So I don't know how many more cases happened like that, unfortunately. But when you talk about penalties, the minimum is 5 years without the option of fine. But the fact is that some judges do not even go by that. Funny enough, some judges still give fines as penalty. But the law says no option of fine, that it must be a minimum of 5 years plus the imposition of fine. So you see, every judge comes and gives their own decisions. Some, it's like at their discretion. And I think that the punishment should be a minimum of 25 years without option of a fine. Because the crime of human trafficking is as bad as the crime of murder. The moment you traffic a human being, you have killed the human being's soul. You have killed the body. You have killed the mind. Everything is dead. Because these victims are raped most of the time. These victims are dehumanized. These victims, like, they are mentally tortured, emotionally, physically tortured. So it's as good as killing them. Sometimes when they even come back, for those who have been taken abroad, they come back, they're just so depressed, mentally unstable. A lot of things have gone wrong with them, physically, mentally, emotionally, health-wise. So they're as good as dead. And so why should a trafficker be given a slap on his wrist or her wrist? They are murderers and should be treated as such.
Julie, you also run NGO that works as almost NAPTIP. Can you walk us through it?
Well, my NGO, when I left NAPTIP, I set up my NGO and I started doing the same thing, fight against human trafficking, sensitization, awareness, empowerment, empowering young girls, and all of that, rescuing young girls. As a matter of fact, so far I've been able to rescue like 4 girls from Egypt. They were stranded in human trafficking conditions, and I was able to help them with the help of IOM to bring them back to Nigeria. I've also been able to empower some of them. Some of them have gone through hairdressing. Some of them have gone through some tailoring skills. Some of them have actually been put in secondary school. So yeah, so we're doing what we can, because that's something I'm very passionate about, and I continue to raise awareness everywhere. I've written over 100 articles in the newspapers, and talking about human trafficking prevention and all of that. And then we'll continue to do what we can, because like I said, it's a fight, that must be done, by the whole of society and the whole of government. And we're doing our part as an NGO.
Tell me about the support system.
Wow. I can tell you that NGOs are really going through hell. We hardly get any support from anywhere. Most of the time it's self-funded. And of course, maybe you have 1 or 2 friends that show goodwill and support a cause. When you're doing a program, they support 1 or 2 things that you're doing. But getting grants, getting sponsorship, it's very tough.
Well, we'd like to say well done to you. But still talking about challenges, because as tough as this job is, and as passionate as you are in this cause, don't you think government should do something about the legislature, from the legislative angle? Don't you think the government should do something talking about punishment for those found guilty for this particular crime?
I would say, let's start with what we have first. Implementation is the most important thing. If they can just implement the laws are there. We have all sorts of laws. Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, we have all sorts of laws. Let us start by implementing the laws that are already on ground before we start talking about any other thing.
So what is preventing us from implementing the laws?
Implementation has always been the problem. For example, I made a comment before. You say the minimum of 5 years for a particular offense with no imposition of fine, and they are giving them 6 months. So what do you have to say about that?
Horrible.
Let's implement the laws that are available.
Of course, crime thrives when people are not reprimanded.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for making our time this morning to be our guests. It's quite a robust interview.
But before she leaves, I think I should ask you this: what message as an advocate, what message do you have to pass across to people? Just use this opportunity, use this medium to talk to people, talk to parents, talk to children, talk to anybody that is vulnerable and could fall in this particular trap. Talk to them.
Yes, thank you very much. To parents, I want to advise you must protect your children. It is your responsibility to protect your children. Stop employing young underage girls into your homes. It is child trafficking. And to the boys and to the young boys, young girls, young ladies, and young men, when something sounds too good to be true, it is too good to be true. You see fake offers of scholarship abroad. You see fake offers of jobs abroad where they tell you they're going to pay you some humongous amount. You see people that call themselves agents offering to help you to get tickets and your travel documents. Nothing is free. When you get people like that, please run, 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 run. It is human trafficking. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Do have a wonderful week. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's still the Sunday Show. We'll be back shortly.
Grab your seats and join us on the most fascinating 60-minute infotainment journey, showing on your favorite TV channel, Africa Independent Television, AIT. Analysis on topical national issues, news, sports, and entertainment are on the menu. It's a show you do not want to miss. It is The Sunday Show.
It is really fascinating to imagine how vast and widespread this crime against humanity is. My advice is the same as the police will always tell you. If you see something, say something. You may be saving a life. You are still watching AIT, and this is The Sunday Show. Up next is Vibes and Sounds, as well as sports.
Hi, you're welcome to the Vibes and Views segment on the Sunday Show. My name is Anu Awojobi. The Nigerian Union of Journalists, NUJ, has celebrated media professionals who have over the years proven their worth in setting ethical standards for the profession. National President NUJ, Chris Isiguzo, led other members of the Fourth Estate of the Realm to appreciate some veteran journalists who have distinguished themselves in the course of their career at the 3rd annual milestone recognition of media icons in Nigeria.
We've gathered to celebrate those who have etched their names in the annals of Nigerian media history. Icons whose work has shaped public discourse and inspired the generations that follow.
Professor Ralph Akifeleye, who was the chairman of the occasion, charged the media to act as mediators when dealing with issues that border on national interests.
We should serve as not only agenda setters or gatekeepers, and we must also be able to back and necessarily be able to bite when we are supposed to bite.
Now to the awards presentation, where retired ace journalists and some deserving public service holders were celebrated.
It's a great feeling that our colleagues in the media are also coming out to recognize those who have contributed their quota to the profession. Usually journalists recognize other professions while ignoring our own. So this is a very great feeling. I'm very happy about it.
I feel great. This is the highest honor anybody in journalism can receive. When it comes from your constituency, when you didn't ask for it, when you didn't lobby for it, it feels good. Usually, government and the press seem to be on opposite ends because there are times when what government needs to be done, they feel it should be done in the closet while the press wants it done outside. So that tension between what government wants and what the media wants. But luckily, I dedicate this award to His Excellency, the Governor of Akwa Ibom currently, and the immediate past governor, under whose leadership they've given me the latitude to manage the relationship between government and the press.
The applause was loud when the retired 90-year-old first executive secretary of the NUJ, Pa Julie Okah-Donli, was called to pick up his award.
When I took the appointment of NUJ in 1977, NUJ was in disarray. I thank God that what I have been able to do in 13 years is now yielding very good fruit. If we continue to make the union have the necessary recognition by any government.
The NUJ also thought it right to honor the Katsina State Governor, Diko Umar, as the workers' media-friendly governor, and the Akwa Ibom State Governor, Umar Eno, as the media-friendly governor of the year.
We have to thank Almighty God for this recognition, and I owe this recognition to the people of Katsina State who has given me mandate to serve as their governor.
It's my honor and privilege to make this milestone honor on His Excellency the Executive Governor of Akwa Ibom State, Pastor Umar Basi Eno, as media-friendly governor 2024. Congratulations.
The third edition of the ceremony has as its theme, Media Legends, Shaping Narratives, Inspiring Generations.
Hello and welcome to the Sunday show. I am Lai Lawal. We begin with the African Military Games. Dar Communications PLC is to serve as the host broadcaster for the upcoming African Military Games scheduled to hold in Abuja in November 2024. The announcement was made on Tuesday at the Defense Headquarters, with Dar Communications securing the exclusive broadcast rights to the Games. The second African Military Games is poised to reach millions of viewers across the continent, a milestone made possible by an MOU reached between Dar Communications together with a consortium of broadcasters and the organizers of the event. The agreement was sealed in Abuja on Tuesday. The local organizing committee chairman, Air Vice Marshal Abidemi Marquez, said the ambition is to make the second African Military Games the best ever organized sports event in the country.
The importance of media operation in this kind of global stature competitions that we are hosting can never be overemphasized, and that it is very pleasing for the Defense Headquarters to walk this road with these media houses.
The television stations we have here and the media, honestly, I'm very happy. Yes, I've been seeing you and other people from the distance, and I know the quality is there. All we need to transmit what we have it here. We don't need to go anywhere, actually.
Speaking on behalf of the broadcast outfits, chairman of Dar Communications PLC, Raymond Dokwesi, described the partnership as unprecedented, promising to deliver a world-class broadcast of the event.
In the first instance, it is the acquisition and the production of broadcast and television signals. So it is the production of everything to do with the game, the branding, the graphics, the animation of the official mascots, so that we have a complete and full production of AMGA, the way you will see your AFCON or World Cup or Olympic games branded, as well as the production of live and recorded matches of the various games, and the production of news and highlight reels for distribution to other media as well. Of course, we need to be able to build the anxiety, the sensitization of our citizens as to what it is that is happening, be able to provide regular news updates from the DHQ as well as the organizers of the events, So these are the three core areas in which we'll be cooperating.
Already, 27 of 44 countries who submitted preliminary entries have confirmed the participation in the Games, which holds from 18th to 30th of November 2024. And from here, we switch gear to the African Cup of Nations. The last has not been heard of the bitter experience, the Nigerian contingent to the AFCON 2025 qualifier against Libya. Deputy Governor of Edo State, Philip Shuaibu, who was part of the trip, has advised the Nigerian government not to take the inhumane treatment meted to the Nigerian contingent with levity. Shuaibu, who was part of the delegation, says the lives of over 60 Nigerians on board the Value jet aircraft was put at high risk following the diversion of the aircraft from its original point of landing in Benghazi to the abandoned Al Abrak airport. Our correspondent, Omofoma Ebari, was part of the contingent and reports.
Three-time African champions and Group D leaders in the qualifying rounds of the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations bid for Morocco, the Super Eagles were all but expecting to round off the qualification series with games to spare.
I don't like any delay, so let's get down to business when we get there. Like I said, it won't be easy, so we will respect them. But I think we have what it takes if we play the way we can to make sure we qualify.
Unknown to team captain Truce Ekong and his teammates, including the entire country, the Libyans had a game plan which has been described as anti-football.
Provide all the logistics, including security, for them to move to Port Harcourt. Nobody did this to them. But here we are all hostage in an environment that we cannot even get internet, we cannot even get water to drink, we cannot even get food to eat. But it's okay. Football is played on the field of play. And by the grace of God, I know when the time comes, I will see how they put us hostage on the field of play.
So all these staffs that are here are just makeshift staff. But the most important thing that CAF and NFL must take, and Nigerian government must take seriously, is that our lives were at risk. We were already descending to land, and suddenly the aircraft is diverted to this airport. So for me, it's not something that will take lives, and the lives of our team, all of us, were at stake.
I was expecting we will be landing in Benghazi, maybe some immigration issues, that's it. That was my thought. Unfortunately, that's not what is happening now. We are stuck here in one airport and Abak. We don't even know where we are.
The Super Eagles were undone by the antics of the Libyans. They made good a bad situation. What the Libyans describe as an international airport at best can be compared to an airstrip. Those who acted as airport staff were makeshift Libyans deployed to the airport on the arrival of the Nigerian delegation. On Monday morning, it was glaring that the key points at the airport were unmanned. The restrooms were a no-go area for human beings. No wonder, when freedom was announced, Nigerians reacted spontaneously.
Meanwhile, the Confederation of African Football (CAF) has begun investigation into the matter through its disciplinary committee, promising to sanction everyone and anyone who violates its statutes. Nigeria remains on top of the Group D log with 7 points and a game in hand. Benin Republic is second, Rwanda third with 5 points, while Libya is bottom of the table. Already 8 nations, including record winners Egypt and Senegal, have qualified for the tournament scheduled to hold from December 21, 2025 to January 18, 2026. And finally, German coach Thomas Tuchel has been named as the head coach of England national team, to the third non-Englishman to hold one of the most prestigious and demanding roles in world football. The Football Association confirmed that the 51-year-old former Chelsea manager would take charge from January alongside his English assistant Anthony Barry. In a statement, FA Chief Executive Mark Bullingham says we are thrilled to have hired Thomas Tuchel, one of the best coaches in the world, and Anthony Barry, who is one of the best English coaches, to support him. Tuchel's task with England will be to mold a supremely gifted squad featuring the likes of Harry Kane, who he managed at Bayern last season, Jude Bellingham, Phil Foden, Declan Rice, and Cole Palmer, into a team that can deliver on the biggest stage.
I'm of course, obviously very excited and honored to be here today as a new head coach of England. I just had the chance to read a quote from Pelé in the building in Wembley, who said that Wembley is the heart, the capital, and the cathedral of football, and I think he was absolutely right. So I want to take the opportunity to thank the FA, especially Mark and John, for their trust, and I'm very excited to start this journey in January with you, with the staff at St. George's Park and at Wembley, and of course with a very special and exciting group of players to make our dream come true in America.
That's Sports on the Weekend show. Many thanks for watching. I am Lai Lawal.
Grab your seats and join us on the most fascinating 60-minute infotainment journey, showing on your favorite TV channel, Africa Independent Television, AIT. Analysis on topical national issues, news, sports, and entertainment are on the menu. It's a show you do not want to miss. It is The Sunday Show.
We are beginning to see that democracy in Nigeria is like a cone that is being turned upside down. And if a cone, and you turn it upside down, and the top that's supposed to be big, even if it's little roundish, and you manage to stand it, it cannot be so stable. The slightest perturbation, it will fall. And when I listened to senior lawyers like Olisa Agbakuba, who was making comments on some Supreme Court judgments, I felt very sad that the country has gotten to that level. Our plea is that if democracy will endure, the people both at the bar and the bench should not be carried away by political influence. That is the only way. And that is the only way we can stabilize the political process. I know the lawyers enjoy, immediately after election, the avalanche of litigation, because it's like Christmas for lawyers. But most countries doesn't go that way. People don't go to court. But in Nigeria, pre-election matters, election matters. Fill all the courts. And this does not give a good sign for democracy. Comparing Nigeria to other African countries and some more countries outside Africa that have been able to get involved in the electoral processes. So to me, it worries me. In fact, towards the end of this month, I'll be going to Botswana. I want to go and see what others do. And you come back home and see what we do. It worries us. There is a particular judgment that has been haunting, and I need to mention that, luckily I'm not a lawyer. I'm seeing that from a layman view. Most very senior lawyers are here, that really turn the cone upside down. And if the courts don't really look into this and rectify it, it will create so much instability in the political system that it could affect all of us. Even those who claim to have succeeded, their victory song will not last long, because we will all be victims. Where the courts say a ward chairman can expel a national chairman of a political party. This is not in line with natural justice. The law is to control human behavior, and human behavior must follow how God created systems. And you cannot tell me that the head of department, for example, in a university, can expel the vice chancellor. So how can the Nigerian laws tell me that a ward chairman can expel a national officer of a political party? And since that judgment has been given, it has created all kinds of instability in the parties. In fact, my PDP is into crisis because of that judgment. APC at the time was also into crisis because of that judgment. And I'm not looking at it from a legal perspective because I don't know anything about the law. But when I look at how nature works, I have never seen a system where a subunit can discipline the top. For PDP exactly, of course Baba knows, in the constitution of PDP, if you're a national officer, even your state cannot discipline you. Not to talk about a ward officers that are not even members of NEC, the National Executive Council. And we are saying that a ward chairman of a party can suspend and expel a national chairman of a political party. I'm pleading with the Supreme Court to review their judgment. Because that judgment has turned the cone upside down. And the political processes, the democracy is wobbling.
Oh, with sports segments and, of course, the newsmaker, we are drawing the curtain on the show today. Remember to continue to interact with us on our social media platforms and keep a date with us. Again, same time, same station next week. Be sure you are your brother's keeper. Treat others as you would like to be treated. Have a great week ahead. Mm-hmm.
I love this.
The payoff.
The payoff. Be your brother's keeper, and
yes,
of course, treat others the way you want to be treated.
The way you treat me now. You get what I'm saying?
Do you have to be shouting?
I just have to let them know.
Let's go there.